In every culture, it has always been that, when an unexplainable natural phenomenon happened, stories and myths were born. There is one story in particular that affirms that outside the Gulf of Naples there was a giant called Tifeo, the local name for typhon. It is said that Tifeo, which means amazing smoke in Greek mythology, was a monster who had 3 heads, a tail and some wings. After a rough fight with Zeus, the king of the gods, was thrown into the sea and condemned to carry the weight of the island of Ischia for eternity. With this legend, the ancients justified the natural phenomena of the island, attributing the cause of the earthquakes to the contortion of the giant, his warm breath to the fumaroles, and his tears to the thermal springs. From this legend, also some suburbs of Ischia were named, Espanza, Ciglio and Bocca, which mean belly, eyebrow and mouth, and which would be located above the respective parts of the body. This is not the only myth that concerns the island. It is said that the Mount Epomeo, the highest mountain of Ischia, is one of the 7 world's entrances to Agarthy, the legendary city related to the belief in the Hollow Earth, a subject mentioned also by Jules Verne in his novel Journey to the Center of the Earth. The uniqueness of the island of Ischia begins with these amazing legends. An island where several populations and dynasties settled, from the Greeks to the Romans, from the Saracens to the Normans, and also Angevins, Aragonese and Bourbons. A land of 46 square kilometers where there are different microclimates, hot thermal springs, fumaroles, mountainous landscapes, wonderful beaches and a castle. Everything is bordered by the most crystal clear sea of the world, as mentioned in the movie Holiday Island with Vittorio De Sica. Sea and thermal baths are the main attraction of the island. The thermal waters of Ischia are famous since ancient times. Greeks and Romans already knew the healthy properties of these waters, of which even Giuseppe Garibaldi benefited. He came to Ischia under the recommendation of his doctor, to nurse a war wound. This is one of the many historical evidences that highlight the importance of these thermal waters that were considered miraculous, since they could nurse wounds and diseases in times during which there wasn't any current medicament. Nowadays, Ischia counts with 2 of the most appreciated thermal parks by the Italian and foreign tourists, the Poseidon Gardens and the Negombo Thermal Park. There is another thermal park, if we can call it like this, which is free to enter and open at any time, the Sorgetos Bay. You reach this beachless embayment by boat or by a 170 small steps descent. There is no sand, only pebbles, smooth by sea. The uniqueness and fascination of this place lies in the natural pools of warm water heated by the marine hot springs, which make the sea warm and pleasant even in winter. In a few spots, the water is so hot that you can cook potatoes, eggs and seafood. The amazing charm of this bay brings us back to the real essence of the thermal bath, that in ancient times, as the Romans remember, besides being used as healing waters, created a completely relaxing atmosphere perfect to socialize and to enjoy one of the finest expressions of nature. This island is not only sea, beaches and spas, it's also culture, because its history begins almost 28 centuries ago. Ischia was the first Greek colony in Italy, which goes back to 780 BC. Each corner of this land, construction or village has a story, even cliffs, such as the Fungo, the famous mushroom rock of L'Aquameno. The Aragonese castle is today the symbol of the island of Ischia. It arises on a huge volcanic rock, and initially it was a military fortress built in the 5th century BC. It was then, during the 15th century, by Alfonso V of Aragon, that this was transformed into a real castle, which gave shelter to the entire population of Ischia during the terrible years of the Saracens' invasions. more than 1,800 families. In the municipality of Forio, there are no castles. There are instead 16 Saracen towers, the defensive fortifications against pirates' attacks. We can easily understand that Forio was the area besieged the most by the Saracens, and in fact, the most important and imposing towers is located in the Forio's territory, the Torreone, built in the 15th century. The Saracens were some cruel pirates who used to spend their life on a ship, plundering and enslaving anybody they encountered along their route. These people have been so present in the history of Forio that today we can identify a lot of Foriani, the natives of Forio, by somatic traits. Big-sized men with very dark skin and characteristic bushy eyebrows. Fortunately, nowadays the Saracens do not exist anymore, or at least those people who still show their obvious lineages do not go around the Mediterranean on a ship plundering people. Since 1800, tourism began to grow, reaching the peak in the 50s thanks to the development of maritime transports and to the arrival of water and electricity, but also thanks to the far-sighted businessman and film producer Angelo Rizzoli. He fell in love with L'Aquameno, a small fishing village, and he turned it into a place frequented by the elites of the international cinema by building the 5-star luxury hotel L'Albergo della Regina Isabella, which is today the most prestigious hotel of the island. Regrettably, during the last 2 decades, the quality of the tourism of Ischia has worsened, mainly because of the introduction of the euro and the following world economic crisis. Hoteliers started to lower prices, causing a worsening in the quality of services. It follows that many of the 330 accommodation facilities are not actually belonging to their category. Therefore, it would be fundamental a complete modernization of these structures in order to restore the proper balance between price and services. In 2015, the official Federal Alberghi data recorded 3.5 million visitors. This means that Ischia, despite everything, knows how to make tourism. It is not by chance that this summer the American magazine Travel and Leisure classified Ischia the 3rd most beautiful island in the world and the most beautiful island in Europe, ousting Capri and Santorini from the podium. There are amazing places in the world, but lots of them are to visit only one time in life. Ischia, the island of eternal youth, is one of the places where you always come back.